Hello, welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So, this ongoing saga of Gina Carano being fired, as stated, is an ongoing saga. We now have new information that she's been hired. Hired by none other than the Daily Wire. Now, I did a live stream about this last night, yesterday evening. For those that don't know, I live stream every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. That's 4 PM Eastern Standard Time and 9 PM GMT. Always a good bunch of people dropping on, and there's always a good conversation there, and it was a really good one. Now, let's dive into it, because I've not made an actual video about this. I just thought I'd do like a live discussion based around it all. There are a lot of people that seem to think that words and things like that, and topics, more specifically topics, are off limits because they're off limits, apparently. Like, that is a self-repeating answer. If you hold that stance, there's no actual reason as to why some topics are off limits. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people have said, well, Gina Carano deserves it because she spoke about World War II and Germany and things like that. That's not an answer. Why can't people talk about it? What, because you don't like the topic? Well, just don't listen. It doesn't mean that you can't talk about it. History is there to be learnt from. And it's fascinating that people that just go, well, some topics are off limits. It's like, okay, yeah, but why? Well, because they are. Yeah, but because why? Because they're off limits? Because they're off limits. And it's this just self-repeating answer. It's just cyclical. Nothing is off limits. Because if something is off limits, everything is off limits. Unless you can actually justify why. So, like, let's analyse this. She was fired. Now, I've always said, and I say it here if you haven't heard me say it before, but if you have a conduct contract, yeah, you should probably adhere to it. But the precedent was set by her colleagues. Numerous colleagues, in fact, working with Disney, Pedro Pascal being one of them. But there's loads of other people that work for Disney that have set the precedent for what is allowed. And again, if you disagree, then you simply don't share the same beliefs. It's more of a political bias and kind of thought bias. Now, a lot of people have said she's anti-mask and anti-vaxxer. Now, I've not seen anything like that. And I genuinely, if you have any evidence of that, please do send it to me, mrhreviews@gmail.com. Because all I've seen is people asking questions. And I find it to be absolutely fascinating that we live in a time now where asking a question, which is actually the fundamental basis of science, because the ability to ask questions means that we explore and we progress in science and actually come up with answers. Basically, asking questions, it always automatically means that you're anti it, and that's just ridiculous. What a childlike stance to have on the world. You know, why should we? Why is this more effective than this? That doesn't mean that you are anti it. It means that you'd like some reasoning. And if you're one of those individuals that believes that just simply asking a question means you're anti this, then you're an idiot. You're an idiot, and you just are simply naive to the fact that you believe everyone saying anything for you is in your best interest, which is simply not true anyway. Simply not true. People always have a vested interest in some of the things that they say and advise people to do, and without asking questions, you cannot discern or get to the bottom of what those vested interests might be. And I like to use that the UK. I love to use the UK government as an example of that. They have not once done a cost-benefit analysis on any of the policies that they have brought into place, and we are now seeing massive issues as a result of it. Kids actually committing suicide. It's awful. Like, it's actually awful. Irreparable damage. Irreparable damage to people's psyches. Like, it's genuinely irreparable damage. Now, like I say, she was fired. Okay, you agree or disagree with that, that's fine. But like I say, the precedent has been set by other people. I'm looking awfully white up in here. There we go. Sorry about that, ladies and gents. I know that might offend a few people. But that's a joke. Oh my lord. Got to say a joke, haven't I? But yeah, so she was fired. And a lot of people seem to think that it could have been, you know, like it might have been a hoax, or just the implication of it, and come at a time where they just got rid of her because. But she actually came out and actually, you know, made a statement confirming that she was indeed fired, and and talking about, you know, her voice being free and things like this. And I want to discuss, obviously, the Daily Wire and her now being hired for that, because it's an interesting state of affairs. Like, it is actually an interesting state of affairs. So let's dive into this article. Okay, so after a spokesperson confirmed Gina Carano had been fired from Lucasfilm and The Mandalorian, Carano announced a brand new film that is being produced by the Daily Wire. Now, a Disney spokesman previously told Variety Carano had been fired for her social media posts denigrating people based on their culture and religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Now, nothing that she said is actually denigrating in any way, shape or form. You can disagree with the comparison being drawn, but there was no denigration actually happening. There just isn't. And again, you can disagree. You could say that using the example is in poor taste, right? That is an argument that you could have, but to say it's denigrating, well, it's not. It's not. Quote what is denigrating. Quote it. Because none of you can. It's the same thing as accusing her of transphobia. Nothing she's actually said has ever been transphobic. It's always people assuming the worst of individuals. Like, are you so mollycoddled now in the world that you just think that anyone saying anything is always the worst? Like, why do we get to this level of kind of chip on the shoulder that that's the automatic assumption? And it goes hand in hand with people questioning things. Like, I question the pronoun situation because I do think that, like, I genuinely don't know what LGBTQ+. There's so many letters of that that alphabet thing now, abbreviation, whatever you want to call it. Like, I genuinely have no idea what any of it means now. But asking the question, what does it actually mean, doesn't mean that I'm anti it. It means I'm curious. Like, hey, maybe I don't want to offend anyone, so please do tell me what they all mean. Like, I don't know, do I? But, you know, I would say that, or someone else would say that in a public discourse, public forum, and someone would go, well, no, that means that you're homophobic or you're anti-trans. It's like, what? What? Asking a question does not mean that. So anyway, and again, this article points out that it is an outright lie. I said that weird then, didn't I? Carano did no such thing. Rather, she shared a post to her Instagram account warning of the dangers of hating your neighbour and how that can lead to horrific violence, which is true. That is the genuine... I mean, that's what she did. It's right there. It's in black and white. It was discussing the slippery slope that led to the events of World War II and the persecution of Jewish people. Now, just to say that that offends you is nonsense. Okay, it offends you. Okay, well, turn off your phone then. Because there'll be multiple other things that offend you in the world. History is a part of the world. It's history. You do have to discuss it and talk about it and understand it to learn from it. And I do think that it's an important thing to learn from. We are in a very interesting time in our lives. Now, the US is obviously very polarised at the moment. But this is what the UK was like for many, many years. Because we had Brexiteers and we had people that were anti-Brexit. Remainers, and it's been incredibly tribalistic between the two groups for a very long time, like massively so much so that the Remainers were calling everyone that voted for Brexit just out and out racist. It's like, what a childlike view of the world. You voted for Brexit, therefore you must be a racist. No, simply untrue. So a lot of people... One, I've actually lived in the States. A lot of people, when I talk about these things, go, well, you don't know anything about American politics. You're not here. Shut up. One, I can talk about whatever I like, whenever I like. If you don't like it, piss off. But secondly, I have actually lived in the States. And, you know, I am aware of it. I've been there. I've lived there. But thirdly, the UK and the States, like, they're not exclusive. They're not just going through this and, you know, in a mutual bubble, like, all by themselves, all... You know, the UK has had tribalistic mentalities for some time now. Like, I'm very familiar with this pattern. Ask anyone from the UK, they'll tell you how bad it's been here. It's been really, really bad. Like, dehumanising anyone that voted for Brexit. FYI, before everyone jumps to conclusions, I didn't even vote for Brexit. I wasn't able to. Wasn't around. Wasn't registered to be able to vote. So, before everyone kind of jumps to that conclusion, I wasn't in a position to vote. So I didn't. And I think there's pros and cons between either or, to be perfectly honest. I am a firm centrist. I am what would be described as a classical liberal, not liberal in the American sense. So yeah, the tribalistic mentality is awful. And this message here, I think, is a perfectly sound and salient message. don't hate your neighbour, because it can lead to, especially when those are in power, bad things happening. And it's the truth, you know? And if that offends you, why does it offend you? Well, because you think it's so ludicrous? Well, just laugh at it then. You shouldn't be offended by it. It's bizarre, unless you think that there's some truth to it. Always be concerned about those that hate you and insult you for asking questions, because it means that they, generally speaking, fear the answer or don't have an answer. Now, she stated, this is to do with her being rehired, and we'll talk about that as well. The Daily Wire is helping make one of my dreams to develop and produce my own film come true. I cried out and my prayer was answered. I'm sending out a direct message of hope to everyone living in fear of cancellation by the totalitarian mob. I have only just begun using my voice, which is now freer than ever before, and I hope it inspires others to do the same. They can't cancel us if we don't let them. And that's a lovely message. I think it's actually a very professional message. There's nothing nasty in that. It's a very professional message. Gina Carano seems like a lovely woman. Seems very down the lines. Seems like someone you could have a beer with and just talk, have an interesting debate with, you know. Because when I look at her tweets and things like that, and I've seen all the Instagram posts and things like that, some of them seem firmly questioning in comedy. People point to a mask meme that she posted of people with a mask on the face, a mask on their head, and, you know, masks all over the place. Which I think is a perfectly reasonable thing to question. Are masks truly effective? Especially when people are asking you now to wear 2 masks. Why can't you question that? Now, it's not anti-masking to question whether a mask is truly effective. If 2 masks are better than 1, surely you would just make 1 mask thicker. That just seems like logic to me, does it not? Again, I'm just asking the question. I'm not anti-mask. I'm not anti or pro. I'm not revealing my thoughts. But it seems like a salient question to ask. If people are now promoting 2, you should surely ask, well, why don't we just make them thicker? Why don't we just make the 1 mask better? Surely. But apparently not. And again, I think it's perfectly salient to ask these things. Now, anyway, this is just the beginning. Welcome to the Rebellion, which I quite like. It's a nice throwback to Star Wars. Now, Ben Shapiro is obviously a co-founder of the Daily Wire, and he shared his excitement and kind of went off on one talking about it all. Now, a lot of people have said that the Daily Wire is, you know, not a competitor to Hollywood, or they won't be able to do anything. They don't have to. The thing is that they genuinely don't have to. You know, there's no reason why they even have to be a direct competitor to Hollywood. They can just do their own thing in their own bubble. But as long as they're being successful in it, Hollywood will actually be concerned, and they will be. Genuinely. Now, I've not seen Run, Hide, Fight, which is what they have released first. It's not actually their movie. They just purchased it. They purchased the rights for it because no one else would distribute it. But it has good reviews. 93% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, with a 20% score, I believe, from critics. But there was only 12 of them that reviewed it. So it goes to show, I guess, some sort of bias even in reviewing a product at that point. And now, again, I've not seen it. I don't know. I know some people don't like it. I know some people do. But they only have to have their audience pleased, right? They only have to have their audience pleased, and people will go, oh, they're taking money from us now. And competition is healthy. Absolutely is healthy. Now, again, they don't have to be direct competition, but as long as they're making movies and they're being successful, then Hollywood will be concerned, and they will look to change the way they approach things. And I think that's all for the better. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, this won't change anything. You know, Gina Carano doing this won't change anything. Or people cancelling Disney Plus won't change anything. Well, that's strictly not true. That's quite literally not true. Because it will change stuff. It changes their bottom line. That's a fact. It's nothing you can argue with. It does. It changes their bottom line. And when Disney are running in a deficit right now with their streaming platform, their parks, their movies, they've lost billions. Billions and billions and billions. They will care when their Disney Plus subscriptions start disappearing, because they will care. Like, that's money that they now no longer have. And they will ask why. Now, again, will it make a massive impact? I don't know. But will they always forever think, well, we could have this much more now because we've lost this much? Yes, absolutely. So it's something to take into account, you know, those that are thinking like, oh, this won't change anything, and cancel your Disney Plus, blah, blah, blah. It's like, that kind of attitude is very short-sighted. Very, very short-sighted. Very, very short-sighted. You know, this is what happened with comics, ladies and gents. Comics did this. People said comics wouldn't, you know, when Comicsgate happened and people moved to Indiegogo and independent comics, they have raked in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I've been waiting for this to happen with movies. I myself have made 2 of my own movies as a direct result of me being sick to death of what is being released, it just being garbage. Now again, I'm not trying to say I'm going to be the next big thing. I don't think I will be at all. But I do know that my audience has been crying out for something original at the very least, and something going back to basics. And I thought to myself, well, I can do that. I can give that to them. So why not? I want to. They funded it. I've raised over, god damn, I don't know how much it was now, nearly £32,000 this year, last year, in a pandemic for 2 films, 2 short films, not even features. People paid up because they want to see these things. So never underestimate people's desire. The audience is there. If someone comes up and says, well, I'll provide that, well, the audience goes to that person. It's supply and demand at the end of the day. So anyway, there you go. That is about all I can say. I got nothing else really to say about this. I think I've covered it as succinctly as possible. I'd love to hear your thoughts though, ladies and gents. This is probably a better, more well-rounded view of what I gave on stream last night. Again, that video has been removed for reasons unbeknownst to me. But hey, such is life. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Really would appreciate your time and your thoughts here. If you want to support the channel, you can become a channel member or Patreon, which is actually linked down below in the description box. But anyway, thanks so much. Take care.